Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us for tonight's edition of HR Mentorship Learning Series. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Oluyemi Adeosun. The topic we'll be looking at tonight is communication and engagement strategies. Our facilitator, I'm very happy, very delighted to have yet again on this prestigious platform, Seifumi Shoyemi, and she will be facilitating this session for us. Seifumi Shoyemi is a dynamic legal tech lawyer and accomplished leader with expertise spanning corporate law, litigation, digital publishing, human resource management, and operations. Her career journey reflects a deep passion for innovation, leadership, and excellence in the evolving legal and technology landscape. She began her career as a corporate lawyer at MPDC before transitioning into litigation, where she sharpened her legal skills, embracing the intersection of law and technology. She then ventured subsequently into legal tech, taking on the bold challenge of leading the team that worked on Prime in Ibadan in 2015. Her leadership and vision was instrumental in the success of the project, solidifying her position as a key player in the legal tech industry. She later spearheaded Law Pavilion's digital publishing team, ensuring the seamless integration of legal content with cutting-edge technology. Her ability to navigate the complexities of digital transformation led her to her current role as the head of human resources and operations, where she is committed to fostering a high-performing, people-centric work environment. Ladies and gentlemen, Seyi is passionate about driving innovation, operational excellence, and talent development. And I'm excited to bring to our virtual lecture yet again tonight, speaking to us on the topic communication and engagement strategies. Let's welcome Seifumi Shoyemi. You have the floor, my sister.
Thank you very much, Doctor, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining this evening. It's always indeed a great pleasure coming back to the HR Mentorship webinar series. Like Doctor already said, I'm Seifumi Shoyemi, and I'm glad to be here. So today, as usual, I'm going to be just the facilitator, but of course, I hope we're going to be learning a lot of things together today. Today, we're looking at a very, very interesting topic. We're tackling the twin pillars of a successful modern workforce. If you ask me, I'll say they're important because in any workforce today, you discover that communication is something that if you do a survey, most times it's almost like whatever you see going around, when you check the feedbacks, communication is there, then you find the engagement. So too often, we treat communication as a simple administrative task because actually sometimes we feel communication just tends to send a mail, send an internal memo, compose a message, particularly for HR. In fact, it's easy to just type, compose something, and push it out there. But today, we're going to be reframing it. Rather, we're going to be looking at communication and engagement strategies. We'll be looking at it as a strategic infrastructure of an entire organization. So let's go on this journey together this evening. Why engagement matters now more than ever. Because this slide, actually, so what we'll be doing in this slide is just going to be setting the stage, right, for our discussion on employee engagement and highlighting why effective communication is at its core. So I did a bit of research and I discovered that research shows that highly engaged teams achieve up to 23% higher profitability and significantly stronger retention. That's the added evidence that makes this topic strategic. So it's not just about administration. Communication is not just administrative. Employee engagement is not just a task that we just need to check off, the HR metrics board. No, it is way more than that. Let me take it a little further. Again, we know that the consequence of failure of communication and engagement is high. I was reading a McKinsey report, which states that people actually walk away from jobs sometimes because they often feel they lack the feeling of being valued and lack of feeling of belonging. You discover, I was having a conversation with someone in my, having a conversation with someone in the course of this week, and the person was telling me how exhausted he was feeling just still doing the job. And I was like, really? Yes, because the person is a professional, and the person is getting to the point where it's almost looking like, my opinion doesn't matter. I'm a professional. You put me in charge of this particular team. I'm giving you my professional opinion. You're not hearing it. You're not taking it. What exactly am I here for? I'm not a figurehead. The person now made a statement that shocked me that, and I said, if you want to leave there, what happens? Do you have another job? And the person said, no, I don't have another job, but I would rather just leave without having another job than continue like this. So people want to feel valued. People want to feel like they belong. Now, the failures in communication and engagement, it's not just about resource allocation. We don't have the right head of HR. We don't have the right team. We don't have the right leadership. We don't have the right manager. We don't have this. No, it goes beyond that. Our work goes far beyond getting people through the door. Engagement is about sustaining that initial motivation and ensuring a deep, continuous connection between the individual and the organization's mission. We recruit and the person comes in. It doesn't stop there. Communication engagement is key. Remember, during recruitment, we have sweet maths. You get this, you get that. It comes with this, it comes with that, it comes with all of that. It goes beyond that. When they are already on the job, you discover that continuous engagement, talking to them know what is going on, how it's going is important. Now, what builds that connection? What keeps the connection going between an employee and an organization? So we ensure that people don't get to the point of, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I can't do this anymore. What keeps it going? Now, that is where communication starts to come in, right? Communication isn't just about words of mouth or sending email. It is the fundamental infrastructure of our culture. Yes, it is. It's how employees feel heard, they feel valued, they feel inspired to contribute their best. So I'm looking at it that the key insight here is a strong communication strategy is the backbone of sustainable engagement and organizational structure. If you look at everything, even in our daily lives, removing from the organization as a whole and, and employees and we or team members, communication is key. It's the reason why lawyers, you go to court and you hear things, they will tell you it is, they want to, this partnership has to be dissolved, irreconcilable differences. It's communication. It's probably lack of engagement. So let's take it a step further. Communication and engagement. So I'm looking at it as the strategic imperative. Now, here's what I tried to come up with. On our last slide, we had established that massive bottom line impact of these two concepts. Now, let's solidify where this sits squarely on HR's strategic agenda. Communication, I see it as a soft infrastructure. You know, I had apologized earlier that whenever I talk, it permits me. I'll use phrases based mostly on my industry, right? So we have, let's look at communication this way. We like to call it soft infrastructure. Well, and I checked, a couple of people call it that. And that's because your hard infrastructure, like you have a server room, you have your devices, you have the mouse, you have all those things are things you can see, right? Now, communication is a network that connects everything. You work in an organization where we have a server room, we have the server, we have the laptops, we have the this, we have the all that. Communication is what keeps everything in sync. So when this network is robust, when communication is clear and transparent, it automatically builds trust and alignment. Everyone knows where the company is going and how their role fits. There is no ambiguity at all. So now, where is this? So the second, now we have the engagement part. The engagement part, I try to look at it as the emotional commitment, right? Look at it this way. Communication actually brings the people in, keeps them in, right? The engagement is an emotional commitment. You hear people tell you that they are still on a particular job, not for want of, they're not getting what they feel they are due. The salary is not enough, but they are still there. Most times, if you check, there is a connection. That connection comes from, the emotional part, and that's because they are still engaged. It is how deeply invested an employee is in the company's success. So you find some people, they are not leaving you, they are not leaving that job, they are not leaving that thing. They just remain there. There's something driving them, right? That it's the high engagement, you understand, that feels so good. And it's like when the engagement is high, it's like the engine for high retention. It sparks innovation. If you are engaged, that's when you see people are like on fire and ideas. In fact, it increases overall job satisfaction. So ultimately, HR effectiveness is a function of these two elements working in tandem. We are effective when we ensure people understand what to do, which is communication, right? When they are motivated, which is engagement. So we need to help people understand what to do, which is the communication. Then when they are motivated, that means they are actually engaged. So some of these things, the cost of poor communication flow is a lot. We shouldn't even, you understand, there will be misaligned goals. There won't be trust, poor decision making, skyrocketing turnover. So what's the main point in the whole of this slide? Let's stop telling people what to do. Let's start connecting them to purpose, right? Let people not just come and say, you need to do this. That's where we are going to today. Communication, engagement. So let me go to the next slide. The next slide is about understanding communication in the workplace. So I took it like, okay, what's even communication? It's easy to say communicate. The question is, in essence, actually, what is communication? So for me, I'm seeing communication, right, as I defined it as the exchange of information. That is meaning that that influences relationships, collaboration, performance across all levels in the organization. So to manage communication effectively, right, we must first understand what it is and how it flows. Interestingly, disagreements, everything, conflicts, you go over something and you're having so much headache. Communication. I'm saying one thing, you are hearing another thing. So let's take a look at it like this. At its core, workplace communication is just simply exchange of information. Information passing from one person to another person. Now, the most important part, which I want to stress, is the meaning in that information. I could tell you now that, Sheyi, you are late. Or no, Sheyi, I need to get the report on my table tomorrow. I could hear you said something, I heard something else. Now, the meaning, it's not enough to send a mail, it's not enough to send a message, it's not enough to call. The person, the employee must correctly interpret the goal. They must interpret the goal, the relationship, the priority for successful collaboration and performance. So when I say, Sheyi, I need the report by tomorrow, it's also good Sheyi understands why that report is important for tomorrow. That's when I've properly communicated to Sheyi. So Sheyi knows the format and how best to make that report available for me, right? So now, where's the HR's role? Because sometimes I use myself as an example. I get lost in between. We're saying this, you hear the manager said this, the people are hearing, and it's almost like, seriously, why can't we? Why do I? But then, HR's critical role. Now, this leads to our role. The HR's critical role in all of this is the fact that we are not just administrators. I think HR has so evolved, which is beautiful over the years, that we're not just administrators running this, run this. We are the bridge between leadership and employees. I've gotten to an interesting part of realizing we have a management meeting and we discuss, we want this project to be done, right? You discover that by the time that information is taken to team members, right, you will hear management said ABCD. Where does the HR come into this? HR, our role is to interpret high-level business strategy from the top and translate it into, actionable, culture-appropriate language for the workforce. So if HR is going to pass such information, it's not, you won't come as HR and come and say, management said, everybody must report, especially if it's hybrid. Management said we must have a staff meeting tomorrow and it's physical. No. As HR, our role starts to come in. We listen to management, and management thinks that everybody needs to come in tomorrow because there's a business decision we're taking and we need everybody to be on board, right? We're bringing in a consultant, to handle, change management and all of that. So we as HR already understand the place the management is coming from. We are the bridge, remember? To the employees, so we'll not go and say, just, draft a message, drop on the send out notice. This is notify you that the management has, we now find the way to communicate it in the language that everybody can understand and we will all be eager to follow. We're responsible for ensuring the intent of leadership matches the perspective of the staff. That's our role, actually, in communication. So like I said, it's not enough to just say the words. The intent of the leadership, right? We need to ensure that these members of staff get now. I think I need to put a caveat out there that it doesn't mean that every time when we communicate it like that, everybody is going to get it right. So those that we misinterpret, we still misinterpret, right? But then we need to understand that we need to help the organization in such a way that the main intent of that message is really gotten. That's where we are playing a role. And that's why as HR now, we are actually very strategic business partners. So let's take it forward. There are different types of communication. There's the upward communication. This is from staff to management feedback and insight. For this one, this is vital because it is a pipeline for feedback. Early warning signs and ground level innovation is important. If this channel is choked by fair leadership, then the leadership operates in bubble. So HR, we need to be able to hear what employees are saying. We need to be able to let management hear that this is what they are saying. Now, if an employee says, for example, they told us today, I cannot do it. We are the ones that now goes in between. We filter, we put it together, and we pass it. However, we can't allow that channel to be blocked. Once the leadership of an organization no longer hears what the employees are saying, there's going to be chaos. It might not happen right now, but there's going to be a problem sooner or later. Now, I put another one. We said the downward communication. That's the regular, easy one we see everywhere. That's the traditional one. Management said, the team lead said, the board of directors said, the organs said, right? That one is easy. Yeah, we do that too. But then, like I said, in communicating, we will not just come and say, management said, orga said, Kidiko said. We have to find a way, to do it. Then I have the lateral communication. This one oftentimes is probably not really looked at. But then we discover is the one that poses the biggest problem in organization. The lateral communication, that's between peer group. So departments to departments, right? That's why I did diagonal communication, department to department. So sales department hears this, and sales department is communicating it to marketing. And interestingly, how you know communication is important and how you will know communication has been watered down. All you hear is they said, who is they? They said, who is they? They said we should. I be here, there will be there will be we, and all of that. Also, I tried to look at the other one, the formal and informal communication. We also need to be able to understand when to use formal communications, when to call for meetings, when to bring out a policy, when to just send a WhatsApp message, when to send a Slack message, when to use an email, when to just quickly use a WhatsApp message. All that are important. So now, I was thinking about it. Communication engagements, they're actually linked. You can't have one without the other. How doctor comes up with all these topics, honestly, I don't know. But the ones I've had to handle, whenever I'm looking at them, I'm like, this is deep. Like, there's a connect between both of them. We've looked at how communication flows, right? Now, let's explicitly connect that flow to the outcomes we want, which is engagement. Communication, if you communicate, there has to be, it's two ways. There has to be something flowing. There needs to be an engagement, right? This isn't theoretical, actually. Communication is the mechanism that generates commitment. I communicate to you, you understand it, you see it, you believe it, you see the rationale behind it. There's a commitment on your part to do it. How does communication drive engagement? That's the question. And that's what we're about to go into right now. It starts by building the 3 C's. I call it the 3 C's. Trust, clarity, and connection. Now, clear communication builds trust and inclusion. Honestly, it does. Clearly communicating. So I'm an interesting person. I'm someone, if I want to communicate, particularly when it has to do with work and you need something to be done, I like to tell you the why. We need to do this because, and my reason is always very simple. It's because I feel I don't think I need to micromanage to tell you, put A into B, put B into C. I feel if I just tell you, that's how I also help you understand. You could actually come up with your own ideas and, you feel like you own what you are doing if you understand the rationale behind it. So we hear employees, when employees hear same message. Now, another interesting thing you find is you will hear that members of staff, they will hear a particular thing, maybe a line was discussed at the leadership meeting. You will hear it, the leadership, by the time the HR takes it down, by the time direct managers take it down, you find out some things are ready, but we all have to be aligned. And that's what takes me to, we need to clarify expectations. When we clearly communicate what we expect and critically explain how personal goals ties into this, then we find meaning in our work. You find some people, they will tell you, what are we trying to do? Some people tell you, I want to see this project to an end. Immediately they become invested. It's because they understand what we want to achieve. They are driven by that. Then I say it promotes accountability. Communication promotes accountability. It ensures that everybody knows exactly the same thing. There's the same standard, there's the same expectation. So we're not working on a project and you are expecting A, I'm expecting B. But then we have to be realistic that there's still a gap in this communication and engagements. So that's why I just want to use a few more data. Now, 44% of employees report that leadership communication is insufficient. We did a survey sometimes. I think we've done this year. We did last year, we did this year. And it baffles me that every time we do that, you find out that most people actually think that management is not communicating clearly to them. Then you are wondering what's going on. It might be interesting to discover. It's not like you're supposed to tell them everything. The thing is just some little things to make them feel like they're actually a part of this thing. Now, 40% of employees, they lack a vision, meaning that the core downward communication channel is failing. If they don't know the destination, how can they be in the right direction? Sometimes you just ask them, why is this not done? I don't know, they just told me to just file it. Okay, after filing it, it can't just sit in the file. They're supposed to be, you should have sent it out. They just told me to file it, and that's all it is. Then another thing I said is, and the most heartbreaking number, 39% of employees feel undervalued. Interestingly, I don't know why. Like, I don't know. After interaction with people, they feel undervalued. And I feel it's a direct reflection of weak upward communication or feedback system. Because if people are feeling undervalued, the management needs to know, the leadership needs to know, the team lead needs to know, they need to do something. So the formula, these are the most common barriers we see, right? So what's the formula? On this slide, if we don't live with anything, let's live with one thing. And this is the formula: engagement. So trust plus transparency, right? Plus timeliness. Communicating builds trust. Picture them hearing it up the grapevine or hearing it as rumor, right? I had a situation one time in our organization when I think after COVID, when people were really leaving. So it became a little funny every time announcing exit, and weren't announcing exits. And it almost became like, do you not hear this person has left? What could be going on? Why could the person leave? Did the person resign? Did they sack the person? So at the end of the day, I was thinking, not communicating exits, because you didn't want it to look so sadly like, another person has gone. It was a little causing some form of, then it's almost like, what's going on in here? Another thing, so trust, if you don't communicate, there is problem of trust. So trust, transparency plus timeliness. It's not about communicating, it's about communicating it at the right time. Picture a communication that should have gone out that didn't go out. Maybe while you were in that meeting, the person that came to serve tea, or the person that took out the deeds, just heard one word. The person tells it to another person, who tells it to another person. They start spreading the rumor. So if communication is not timely, there's a problem. So trust plus transparency plus timeliness, sustainable engagement. Trust me, we all want to feel like I know what is going on. I'm a part of what is going on. My opinion was heard before this decision was made. I was considered before this was done. That is what we are saying. So the next thing now that we're going to be looking at is the communication audits. For this one, when I was coming up with this, I was like, communication audits. But actually, how do we even decipher if the communication system we currently have is going well or not? So that's why I called it the communication audits, right? Where is your message getting lost? Because sometimes it baffles me. A couple of times I tried to ask when I'm communicating and I discover my team does something else, or we now start to go back and forth on it, or it now becomes, I'm like, is it that I didn't communicate well, or I didn't say it well, I didn't express it well? And so I tried to do something. So let's try one. Break down one, filtering distortion. What is it? This is a classic problem of onward communication. So the types of communication I had said, I tried to bring out how they apply. Now, filtering occurs when team members only tell managers what they think they want to hear. So you discover you have team members. I like this presentation now. Let's say doctor, I work with doctor and I'm in doctor's team. And doctor sends me, right, on this. Or doctor is having a presentation and doctor asks me, Shay, for me, how was my, all I can say is it was a fantastic one. And in my head, I could have said one or two, but I didn't say anything. And why am I not saying anything? Because of fear of consequence of if I share it and doctor doesn't like it. No, don't worry, me and the doctor won't have that. I'm just using that example. The unfortunate part is the result. The result is that leadership now gets a rose-tinted view of reality, while critical issues remains hidden. How you will know this kind of signs? Picture you're in a meeting, you call team members, or as HR, we are observing other departments, or we're observing meeting, or you call a staff meeting. And afterwards, so last week we launched a new product, or last week we were able to go to market with this. And so we want everybody's feedback, opinion, go ahead, talk. Let's hear, what do you have to say? Then you discover that most people just, it was fantastic, it was great, it was, but like, and those nice smile. We're not getting the true picture of what is going on, and we wouldn't want that. So how else is information lost? Silos isolation. Now, I try to say silos or silos are those invisible walls, either departments or geography. You know, it halts a lot of things, right? So you discover that every team focuses on their own goal. Marketing, my own is marketing. Our task is to push out 20 social media ads this week. Sales is saying, our own is to bring in 1 billion, that's all. It doesn't work. And you know, when this happens, the result is that we begin to have duplication of efforts. You will discover that, what a perfect example, permits me to use this a perfect example. My team yesterday, I got a message late from another manager. They needed to call a meeting today, and the manager needed me to make sure HR made it happen. So the message came in late, actually. I posted it to my team members, 2 of them, at like almost past 11 p.m. It was late. But I was hoping when they wake up in the morning, when they check messages, that would be the first thing. Now, apparently, by 8:25, I hadn't gotten a response from either of them. And I was like, I posted something and the meeting is supposed to be today. Why are you guys not working on it? Like, why? I posted it on the group, only for me to discover one of my team members said he was going to work on it. He was already talking to the manager that called for the meeting. He feels that meeting shouldn't be. He wants to talk to the manager. My other team member was already working on it. And she already even dropped the message of, she just needed approval. This is the communication she wants to send out. Should she go ahead? And I was like, it's the same task. If only both of you had acknowledged, noted, and one person had just mentioned, I will work on this, we wouldn't have had. I was just looking for who will actually get this message early to send it out. So you find we have duplication of efforts in things like this. You also find that we have a situation whereby there's no collaboration. We waste time, we waste money, and all of that. So the third one, this one is where we have a massive disparity in access to critical information between leadership, right? You find out that where this breakdown speaks directly to downward communication and transparency, right? When there's the critical information between leadership and staff is just missed up. For example, when employees first hear about a new policy or picture you are trying to have, I can't think of something right now, and they are hearing it, then let's say, for example, you are planning, we have 5 different HR mentorship, right? We're doing 7 years, right? Picture members of the HR mentorship group. The first time they are hearing about it is when they see it on LinkedIn. Then it almost looks like, is this not our HR mentorship? How come we are not aware? Now, the result of this situation in organization is the grapevine takes over. Then it is like, they didn't know what to tell us. You did not hear. They were already doing, the grapevine takes over. Then we allow rumors to start breeding. Nothing erodes trust faster than feeling like an afterthought. Members of staff begin to feel like maybe they didn't think our opinion was important. Maybe they didn't think they should tell us first. That's why we're hearing it on social media. So as HR, we must ensure that employees are always the first to hear company news that affects them directly. So when there's something that is going to, I normally advise, whenever I want to do something, I normally advise management that I think we should communicate to members of staff first. My boss will be like, maybe we should call a meeting. It's important they hear first. If they have to hear from, it's like you are changing the head of department and the members of that department are the last to hear. I had a very sad situation. For the first time in 20 years, we lost a member of staff this year. And immediately the news got to me. Those of us that knew, the MD had requested, please let's handle it well. We need to immediately communicate to that person because it was a team lead, his team members first. Because when it starts getting out, if we want to wait to call a staff meeting, people will start speculating and going out. It won't be nice. So members of the organization need to hear information before it goes out. Let's go to key communication strategies for HR leaders. I thought of this. I was like, okay, having done all this, what's the point, just finding why it's not working, why it's like this, why it's like that. How do we help you? Because trust me, for HR, some of these things, there's a lot. You might have the plan that in fact this year want to focus on ensuring communication is better in this organization. And you start the year, it will be one fire you need to kill. That fire leads to another. Until you realize like, we had a strategic goal. So I was like on the go, right, to help. What are the things we can do to help us, ensure communication goes well? So one, I started with one, to make for our job to be easier as the chief communication architect, because whether we like it or not, communication can't be removed from us. If the company has a communication problem, HR is the bridge, then that bridge is burning or the bridge no longer exists. You can't take it out of it, no matter what we do. Sometimes you're not even the one that started the whatever it is. You don't even know the head and tail. Maybe they didn't even involve you in it. But trust me, when that communication goes sideways, it is HR. So I said first, strategic messaging. So for here, I said every single message that leaves the HR, if I say that leaves the HR, now I will call it that leaves the organization, so long as it has to do with, employees, right? Whether it's a new policy, whether it's a benefit, whether it is the fact that our HMO has expired, we are not ready to renew yet, or whether it's, sorry, there was an omission in the payment of pension this month, or whether it is, normally we pay salary 25th. Unfortunately, the company is already saying, there were some hiccups, some delays. We might be paying on the 27th. Whatever information it is, right, must align with and actively reinforce organizational core values and strategic priorities. So when you link anything, right, always make sure that the message is being communicated with the right intention and clear direction. So I want to say, for example, one that's particularly happens, I find myself happening. So public holiday comes and everybody's anticipating public holiday. Then I'm in a management meeting and the management says we're not taking that public holiday. And I need to communicate it. I try to communicate it in such a way that I link it back to in view of this project that just came up, which was due to a, find a way you put it together. Another one I said is active listening, right? This is the single most effective way to combat information not being passed well, right? It's not enough to just send out an information or send out a survey. We need to create a way that we can hear. Let's hear what is being said, right? You pass out an information, after, let's hear, okay, I've said this, all right, is there something, what's your perspective? Oh, you don't think that's the right direction? Okay, let's hear what you have to say. People want to be heard. I want to be heard. I'm sure we all want to be heard. Number 3, empathy in messages. So like I said, I'll use that example again. That public holiday one, in fact, in my branch, they would have eaten me up. HR, hope you are not planning. I know they will eat me up. But then, when I'm passing that message from management, I understand the business case. For this particular one, there's this project we need to. In passing the message as HR, especially during challenging periods, right? The how you say something matters more than what you say. It does. We must tailor the tone, the content, and deliver to the members of staff with emotions and with contextual needs. If you are communicating a difficult decision, lead with the why and acknowledge the impact on employees before detailing the change. Empathy fosters understanding. So I had a situation that my team in Ibadan, they needed to start working Saturdays. We have a project that is time-bound and is really critical. It was a difficult decision for me with the MD because we went back and forth on it a bit, and I'm like, we can't deliver this. And he's like, you're not understanding SFS. We need to deliver this because if we don't deliver this at this time, you are putting the company in this position. When I was going to tell them, I was already under pressure and I battled. I just didn't want to go there to tell them, you know what, we are coming on Saturday. So I had to play around, explain just see it as just one Saturday, this Saturday, that Saturday. Then at the end of the day, we needed to come to a middle ground of, okay, maybe this Saturday, maybe not next Saturday. Okay, maybe this, maybe that, it really helps. Then storytelling, use real, relatable examples to humanize messages. So if I'm telling them, I'm like, you guys, we're coming on Saturday. Even me, actually, I have a party. But let me confess to you, that Saturday cannot work. Right now, I need to, let them know that there's a face. I would like to tell my team that there's a face to HR. We're not monsters. And we are not just something up there, like an object placed on the wall. There's a face and we have emotions. Then finally, right, clarity and consistency. This is a tactical necessity. Key messages must be reinforced across multiple channels. If you send out the mail, what we do, we send the mail. Some people will tell you they did not see the mail on time, they go home, they didn't see the mail. Even if you are shout email policy, check, send it on WhatsApp, the group WhatsApp. If you have Slack, send it on the Slack. For some, I tell my team members, can you just, if it's a manager, can you just put a call through or send a WhatsApp message direct? And but they should have checked, just please you, right? So send it through multiple channels. That's good. So now I'm going to core engagement strategies. That was what I call this. Now, for this one, I'm looking at it. We're now moving from just, right, fixing communication flow to actively cultivating engagement. Even if you fix the communication flow, if there's no engagement, you hear people just hear you. They hear you. It doesn't mean it makes any difference. The single most powerful strategy for engagement is establishing psychological ownership and voice. Like I said, everybody wants to be heard. I want to be heard. I don't want to be put down. Now, it's not because I want to shout or I want whatever I say should be what, but I want to feel like I'm seen and heard. Everybody wants to feel psychologically safe. If I feel like if I say something, you will hold it against me tomorrow, or it becomes a problem, I say something, then I see you doing the face or you talk me down, I won't speak. I'd rather just keep quiet, right? So what is really important is that we want to move, right, every member of staff, every team member from feeling like an employee to feeling like an owner of their work. And they also have a stake in the company's direction. Trust me, when every member of staff gets to that level, you find that you just see people who are committed to something, you can't understand why. And it's almost like they're already feeling like I have a stake in this thing, right? That's why I call it the power of voice. That's what I choose to call it. Voice is the currency of this ownership. You know, it means empowering employees to safely share their ideas and even challenge the status quo without feeling the crippling fear of retribution. When people feel they have a seat at the table, their emotional commitments skyrocket. So when I tell you, let's look at this thing together, how do we go about it? You begin to feel invested in it. They feel like they're invested in it. Then their connection to it begins to go up. So let's create an environment. Let's talk to the man. Let's talk as HR. Let's help create an environment where everybody feels I can now. Well, I don't subscribe to because you feel you have a voice and you can talk, then you should be rude and not know how to express it, or you just go around throwing banters. No. But let's let people feel like you can be heard. It's important. So how do we operationalize this? So I put it in a simple framework: the ask, listen, act, look. So ask is solicit feedback. How was it? How did it go? These projects we are on, what do you think? How did it? Then I normally encourage people, if you think you've said it before and you're saying it, just keep saying it. One day things will look better. Listen, this requires true empathy, right? Don't just hear the words, seek to truly understand. Sometimes we just hear. Let's be honest. I do it a lot. You're saying something. One of my team members were talking to me today. I got an email. I almost deleted it. And I said, this is something we're working on. I now called him. DF, Alpha, I got this email. He was like, but I told you the other day, SFS, that you will get the email. I said, honestly, did I hear you? He said, yes, you nodded. You said you'd be expecting the email. I was like, I did not hear anything you said. I didn't hear anything. You should truly listen. Then the loop is the most crucial step. You must close the feedback loop by telling employees what changed and why. Let's always remember to tell the why. When people don't know the why, you leave it to guesswork. They just want to guess what it is. Then you be hearing, do you know why they changed that thing? It was because kilo coin. Sorry, permit me. Why are you interpreting it? But then we're giving them opportunity to do that because we did not state the why. For example, because of your input in the last survey, we can say because we did a staff survey last month, and because of your input, we have reduced meeting by normally have stand-up meetings every day for 5 days. We've reduced meetings to like 3 times, stand-up meetings 3 times a week. This is to help you. Let them know the why. Someone will say, they reduced it. It's because they noticed that, right? Then the act. I said the act, you must implement the changes. When we hear feedbacks, let's not keep it. Let's not keep it. We can't do all. I have some feedback surveys that I've not implemented all. We can't do all, but the ones we can, let's rate them in how they come in. We can do some. Let's make sure we do it then. This slide, I call it the role of meaning and purpose. We've talked about building on voice. The final core engagement is tapping into the human need for meaning and purpose. People don't leave organizations because they lack things to do sometimes. People don't leave. They leave because they lack a clear reason why they are doing them. For some people, there are some people, if they don't understand why they are doing something, they can't connect to it, they will leave. And so our job is to provide every employee with a clear line of sight that connects their daily tasks to the organization's goal. So I use this example, poor visibility. So picture a person that says, if you process invoice, for example, I just process invoice. I don't know why it matters. The person is just going to see it as papers. These papers just need to go out. Right? You will find that it's low engagement because it becomes monotonous. They are disengaged. They are not connected. They just see it like, it's not just, Chebi, I should do 10 invoice. Oh yeah, now, just keep doing it. However, why don't we see it from this angle, from this other point? Picture someone who can say, I process invoice so quickly so we can maintain supplier goodwill, which supports our mission to deliver high quality product on time, right? This one brings high engagement. It brings pride in the person's work because the person feels like, so if I process invoice on time, the suppliers can get this on time. Money is processed on time. Everything moves faster. So I'm saying that for HR, our action to be, I know sometimes it's not in our place to do because we can't work for all departments. So our focus should be on training managers to articulate the why behind tasks, not just the what's. Not just tell me, Sheyi, process invoice every day. I tell our office assistants, they are the cleaners, we call them office assistants. I try to encourage them that the reason why you are doing your job is because if the office was dirty and I come in, it's dirty, it's stinking, it's all that, I can't sit, I can't walk. My brain self can't function. The reason you are doing your job is so that when I come in, it's conducive enough for me to strategically think well, and for everybody to be in a clean environment that helps them even function better. Let's get to the level of it's not just what, why, and how. You understand? Purpose drives performance. So let's go quickly to feedback as a dialogue. You know, the world has passed beyond that stage where feedback should be seen as a mandate. For employer engagement to be sustainable, we must address the most common friction points in the employee life cycle. That's feedback. Feedback is a problem. To manager, from team lead to manager, from manager to team lead, feedback. It depends on how we give it. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not good. Historically, HR has managed feedback, but sometimes we do it 360-degree, end of year appraisal, or maybe if something happens, then you call for it. But then we should get to the point where we see it as a continuous thing. It doesn't have to be within, it must be constant. No, you can get feedbacks. Even walking through the office, you can get feedbacks. By body language, you can get feedbacks. By size, you can get feedback. From the way people look at, from performance. Sometimes when I see people's performances, I tell them, there's a concern here. This person, they used to be like this. Have you had a discussion with this person? You can get feedback. Let's make it a continuous thing, right? Then let's also introduce feed forward. There's feedback. So why can't we have feed forward? Feed forward is a feed forward is a simple but powerful concept, right? It deliberately focuses on future improvements rather than criticizing past failure. Now, feedback is always like, Shay, that email you sent was rude. Feed forward is, Shay, that email you sent, going forward, it would be nice if you just, had a little politeness to it. And that's why I have some examples. Traditional feedback. That report was weak and didn't meet expectation. Or your performance was so bad. Was that what you did? No, I can't take that. That is below the standard. That's not the quality of donuts you should be producing. Feed forward is next time that donuts they not look up to our standard. Did you try adding the right ingredients? Next time, I think you should, right, do this and that. So elevating communication. With the digital world and all of it now, communication has become so interesting when you don't see. And that's why I'm saying first, let's prioritize digital artifacts. In an office, we can have whiteboard, right? Where everybody, there's a centralized record, especially if it's in a department where I just paste it there. When you come into the office, please do not, or this, I don't know, however it works for you, it depends. Second, you need to understand that meeting every key decision, right? Meeting summary and action points must be documented in an actionable location so that it's dropped there. Everybody knows what is expected. Another thing I said is over-communicate. Yes, explain it, right? Written communication, sometimes it's a little funny because people will now be reading the tone, the language. However, as HR leaders, we need to train teams, managers, you understand, to know how to explain things, use phrases where needed, use the right words to manage expectation. Make sure that your message communicates the right message. Then finally, if you need to use video, use it. Because sometimes over the phone, you are imagining how so excuse me, that takes us storytelling and transparency. This I brought in because there's a power that is attached to storytelling, right? And the reason is because once you fix the structural flow of information, we need to focus on the content. How we communicate it is also important. There's a strategy. So 2 tools we can use, right? The first is using storytelling. The second is radical transparency. Anyone can actually work. So when I'm talking about storytelling, as HR, we can advise managers or as ourselves, right? As HR, we're actually the chief communicators, chief culture custodian, right? We need to reinforce company values. by telling a real relatable story. For instance, detailing how a team demonstrates ingenuity, for example, or how a team member showed, you can have a staff meeting and how a team member showed integrity, right? Or how a team member handled a very difficult situation, right? It helps people understand, okay, in doing this, I can do it this way, I can do it that way. Tell the story of a project that failed and how we're able to revive it and all of that. It helps people also relate. This can help in person setting communication on certain things people need to do. Then the transparency, it's not about sharing every detail. I'm not one that there are certain details you don't need to give to people. There are certain things they don't need to know. Really, it's not about sharing every detail. However, it's about providing context to the detail, to the ones you are sharing. The little information you are sharing, kindly provide context to it. When management makes a decision, right, especially an unpopular one, I was using public holiday as an example. When that one comes like this, I'm like, hey, especially an unpopular decision, right? The communication should not be the decision itself, but the reasoning behind the decision. So when you want to communicate a decision that is difficult, don't just communicate it, right? Just say the reason behind it. If you have to implement a policy or you have to do something, let them know that this happened in view of this led to A, B, C, D, right? When you share the reasoning behind decisions, you treat members of staff like partners, so to say. You treat them like partners, not just passive people that whatever we say must go, whatever we decide is what is. No. That way, we begin to foster a culture where people feel safe to be themselves. So how do we measure what matters? I try to we could try that, we could have surveys. We could do surveys. Sometimes surveys are a lot, but you don't even have to wait to end of the year to do surveys. You could just do a quick feedback, right? You could try to keep engagement scores. You could try to keep accountability, right? We must formally link this engagement. So when they do surveys and their results, let's try to pick some of these things and use them. Last time we got a feedback from the members of staff that the ABCD, this. Based on that, the management has decided to implement a ABCD that actually does help. Then we need to start treating engagement as an ongoing measure of leadership effectiveness. We need to institutionalize it, right? It's not one-off thing. It's an ongoing thing, and we have to be deliberate and intentional about it. And that's why I said institutionalizing recognition. This is the final piece of our engagement puzzle, right? This is often overlooked, treated as a feel-good, and then it's a core communication strategy. Recognition is vital. It tells the employee what behavior is valued and reinforced. So how people feel engaged is by recognition sometimes. We must shift from just a few thank yous, you did well, that your project was awesome, you didn't know. Let's take it a step further. Let's do recognition. And it has to be timely. Celebrate the wins immediately. Don't wait till the end of the year appraisal. Encourage managers, HR, even if managers don't. If you hear about it, you can just give them a call. I heard you did so well on your team project last month. Amazing. I'm so proud of you. That's good, right? Second, let it be visible. Create systems where we can do shout outs. We can do award. We can do all this wall of fame, things like that. Then finally, equitable. Ensure it goes round. Don't let it be like it's only some people who are always praising. Then what happens to others, right? Recognition must be applied fairly across board. It's not just for recognition is not a reward. They've done something. That's how people feel engaged. They've done something. Let them know. Let them feel like you see it, you understand it, you value it. The company sees it is important. So finally, I'm almost at the end. This should be like the end. I now thought of it. I now realize these things are sweet to see, but there's a part of managing difficult conversation. There's some conversation that you don't even know where to start from. So that's why I put this together. So having put all the strategies together, from clarity to recognition, to prevent this, to prevent that, the question is now, moments when we need to manage difficult conversations. So first, prepare. You must understand that before you walk into the room, you need to understand everything. You need to understand if emotions are involved. You need to understand, you need to gather all your facts before you walk in. Then second, You need to actually, this is the act of the second part where I call balance, show genuine empathy. This is the part where you are showing profound empathy for the person's experience, right? Letting them understand, okay, I understand this, I see that, you understand, I see, but then in that, you can still also make points. Then do follow-ups. For difficult conversations, the conversation doesn't end when the meeting ends. It won't be nice. It really, really won't be nice, right? Trust is fragile after conflict. So you can want to follow up with where there's a conflict or there's a problem. It's our responsibility to revisit the situation, maybe a week later, a day later, 2 weeks later, just a simple check-in. How are you doing? How are you feeling? The discussion we had on Monday, I hope you are good. Do you still need any clarification? Do you still need any help? I will be glad. With a very beautiful, nice smile, it will be good. So difficult conversations are opportunity for growth, and it will come, it will happen, and stronger relationship. Now, I now try to put together what should be our key takeaways in today's session. Communication. So, right, communication, we need to remember, is the continuous cultivation of trusts. With constant communication, there's trust. The more you communicate, trust is being built. We can't take it away. It's not about a mail. It's not about an internal memo. It's about consistency. It's about transparency. It's about clarity. It's about empathy. Trust is a daily investment, right? There are members of staff that don't just trust the organization. When you tell them, we will do this, they're like, but then that's where we come in to, help build this thing. Then second, we need to understand engagement. I've spoken about communication is about trust. Engagement is driven by voice and purpose. People want to have a voice. They want to know that they are making a difference. They have a purpose from being there, right? When we learn that true commitment comes from not just incentives, but from giving people the voice to contribute and connecting their daily work to a clear organizational purpose. That way, everybody stays connected. Then finally, another thing that's the summary of everything today is the fact that the most powerful commitment is HR leadership. We can't be out of it. Communication and engagement, HR is at the core of it. We fundamentally are the architects of communication, not just participants, right? We are the designers of the environment where people either flourish or fail. We are the architects. We build the environment. So we need to own that design role. Like, we need to own it. We need to take ownership of it. We need to every day walk into the office or start work every day thinking like, I am the architect of, if people want to flourish here, if they want to fail, right? Be intentional about how communication is done, how you get feedback, how trust is built, accountability, and all of that. So our role is beyond just administrative work. We are strategic, right? We do quite a lot, right? So on this note, I say thank you very much, and I'll be glad to take any questions if we have any. Thank you very much, Doctor, again for the opportunity.
You are most welcome. Thank you so much for that excellent presentation. I can see encomiums, people appreciating you've left questions, want to share experiences, this opportunity. Please raise your hands so that we can recognize you one after the other.
Do we have any questions, comments? So nobody has questions for me. If you have comments, I definitely don't know it all. If you have comments, I'll be glad to, learn or experience you want to share with us.
The communication was too excellent. Exquisite.
Oh my
This
God.
is a situation of once have you spoken, twice have we heard.
You communicated the communication well.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So no questions for me, Doctor. Thank you so
Yes.
much again for the opportunity.
Yeah, welcome. We'll bring it. It looks like somebody needs a clarification. Francis, do you want to unmute? I'm seeing two Francis here, so I don't know which one. If you are the one, just unmute now.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Madam Sheyi, thank you very much. Even though I joined late, but I really grabbed some things. Thank you very much for breaking down. And now, I need some little clarification, and I'll be more practical. You know, you spoke about the importance of clarification and things we need to put in mind as an HR personnel or professional. And also let us know why clear communication is very, very important as it builds trust, it's engagement. And when staff are engaged through communication, it also increases productivity in any field of the staff. Now, I want to get something now. You made mention of 3 types of communication: the upward and the downward, and the diagonal, something like that. So now I want to talk about the upward. Yeah, if I'm right, the communication that comes from the staff to the management. And basically communication from the staff to the management is also requires a feedback from the management or the senior staff. Now, and it also requires the HR personnel to also pass that feedback. Now, when a communication or a feedback is not coming, or appropriate feedback is not coming from the management, how can HR handle such position or such situation to ensure that this employee, or to make sure that this employee is not disengaged and is not feeling bad at the same time? Now, example, maybe there is a performance appraiser that's being carried out. Then after the performance appraiser, it was used for annual review, or a reward was given, get or shared accordingly. But the employees asking for this, but they want to understand if the appraisal that was done was actually used for a review. You get, and the HR knowing fully that this appraisal that was done was actually used for the review. So what or how does an HR handle such situation? I don't know
Okay.
if you get
Sorry,
it.
I heard you. I didn't realize that I was muted. So that's an interesting one,
Okay.
right? As much as, yes, we ask that communication is good, management should get the feedback from the employee. Management should answer back. So this example you just gave made me remember a situation where we did the appraisal, right? This perfect example. And a member of staff had to reach out to me like, so what was the outcome of the appraisal? How was he used? What was management's? So what I did in that situation was I tried to be very transparent with the management to let them know that members of staff are asking for this. No, I won't say it that way. I'll let them know that it is essential we give a feedback to. They said something to you. Whatever you have to say, it's essential we also communicate back to these people that raise these concerns, right? Because if we do not, next time, they really might not take. That's where the trust gets to be broken. So if you have the opportunity to talk to the management, you might want to help them see why it is important they also communicate back or give a feedback back. Some management might not say anything because they feel we've done what we want to do. However, where management still doesn't do anything, On HR parts, we could try to, I don't want to say try to communicate just something. Well, what I normally do is I'm still in discussions with management. I've not forgotten about it. I just want to be sure of the right way to say it to you, that I clearly communicate what the management has in mind. So that way, I'm not coming back to say management is not saying anything, and I'm not making the person feel like whatever you said didn't deserve a response from management. I don't know if that helps.
Okay. Okay.
I didn't really
All
help,
right.
right?
Thank you, Madam Shea.
There's another question, madam, by
Okay.
Abisoye. All right, in the chat box. Abisoye says here, how can HR handle a situation where the MD communicates an unpleasant instruction directly to staff, but HR already advised that the timing is wrong? As expected, the message was received without understanding the why, and there is now chaos. Now, MD expects HR to de-escalate the situation and also support him.
There's one thing I try to say in my office. I tell them, they feel like HR is just a miracle worker. You should just you are the fixer, you should make everything go away. In situations like that, so this is my approach to it. At that moment, the MD is not going to hear anything. And that's the wrong time to be telling the MD, but I told you so. But I mentioned it, HR mentioned it. So in situations like that, this is what I will advise. In that situation, I will advise, find a way to de-escalate it, right? But that means the HR will now be looking like the bad person. Now you have to be the bad cop. Find a situation, a way to de-escalate it. Afterwards, now have a sit down with the MD that you just want to, in a very friendly, like, MD, please, I don't know the kind of please, I would like to have a word with you. Nothing serious, but at the time you can spare, because I would want us to have a discussion on something that is really, so when you have that discussion, so now the MD at that time just thought of communicating. You might want to let the MD understand that some of this communication doesn't work that way, with reasons too. Now, the interesting part about all these things I said, it's not just applying to communications for the downward flow to members of staff. Even in working with our top, like in working with my boss, it's strategies I would like to apply. So any of all this, you can also apply to the MD by letting the MD know the why, and letting the MD know that if we don't, this is the why, and I advise this is the how for future purposes. And if we don't follow this way, this would be the result, which will still create a problem. But in the heat of it, you might not want to say anything to the MD. Just de-escalate it, find a way around it. You might actually end up looking like the bad person. Then you talk to the MD. Does that work? Oh, nice. All right. Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Prof, is it okay if I say something, sir?
Yes,
I didn't
please.
raise up my hand.
Yes, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Whether we like it or not, HR will always bear the brunt of everything that happens. We are the sandwich filling. And when I say we are the sandwich filling, I mean between the management and the entire staff. We are the glue. And that glue can either make or mar the entire system if we do not apply tact and diplomacy. Every HR must be well equipped with that skill of being able to weave around balancing everything between management and the entire staff. And so, like Lady SFS said, you must find the right time. We are also ego massagers. We eat humble pie. We as HR, we have to be eating humble pie all the time. That's the only way. Sometimes we need to stoop to conquer.
Mm-hmm.
So And some of these things, it comes with experience. Because you've been there, done that, got the t-shirt, thrown it in the bin and started all over again. So sometimes you need to read the atmosphere. You need to know the moods of your orgas at the top. You need to know when best to approach them with whatever it is that you want to say to them, how best you're going to sell it to them, how best you're going to get them involved, how best you're going to make them do the things that they probably have sworn that they will never do. You must know their move button, but not in the sexual way, in the intellectual way. Things that you can, you know, when Yoruba people say, "Oh, Emma I don't know, you know, you will so get into their mind that anything that you say, and you are going to be giving them empirical evidence where it has worked, how it has been seen to have worked, how when they go this way, it will not work, and evidence of those that it didn't work for, and evidence of those that this thing works. So evidence, data, whatever it is that you can bring to the table, that's the discussion you have with your bosses. And then when it comes to the staff, the boss has come to tell them what shouldn't have been said at all. Now, you say that it affects me too. So you align with them. You are one, we are together. This thing that Oga has said, even me too. I like the idea when you said, you know, you tell your own story. When you talked about you're going to a party on a Saturday, you know, and they want to do something on Saturday. Say, me too. In fact, I'm supposed to be the MC at the wedding. Can you imagine? What am I going to do? You know, so you try to, everybody likes to have a sense of belonging. So when they see that, or to see that, okay, we're not the only one in this, you know, even our HR too, they collect water, anyhow. Do you understand? So you must know all of the sentiments of your staff. And that's why HR cannot be hidden behind the back door and you are just sitting down there and you are closing the door and they are knocking before they come in. HR is this. No, we are going to be a part of them. We are going to be there. They look at me, they feel free to come to you because they don't see you as there, you know, some hanging on the wall that is not to be touched unless they want to dust it. So those are some of the ways that you can really, if you don't know the nuances of all your staff, if you don't know the culture of your organization, sometimes communication will just be lost because you will not know how to communicate. Is not just about all the things we send on the phone, all the things we send on the gadget, all the things via email, via WhatsApp. No, communication is knowing the right things to send on the different communication portals, the things that you will say by mouth. If you write it down, you might be shouting at them in writing. If you put it down, there are certain things that, you know, they will tell you, if you write people in capital letters, it means you are shouting. If you put it in bold, it means you are emphasizing and overemphasizing. If you do this, so there's so many things. And it is knowing the culture of your staff that will enable you to always help to balance anything that is happening within the organization, how you're going to ensure that there's harmony. There's harmony between the organs and the staff. Because the organs will come to you. HR, you are not doing the right thing. The staff will come to you. HR, you are not defending, you are not on our side. You will always be at the center of the water. And it is only tact and diplomacy, understanding the culture, understanding all the nuances, understanding how the brain of your organs work, understanding how the brain of your staff work, that will help you to have a smooth sailing. Thank you very much. I hope I've not confused you more. I have communicated well.
Thank you so much, Ma. That was a beautiful, beautiful one. Thank you so much, Ma.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you so much. The only thing that is impressed on my mind to add to everything we have said is that as HR professionals, please, in any situation where you advise management, managing director, CEO, or any C-level, or anybody senior to you in hierarchy about any situation in the organization, and they didn't listen to your advice, and then it backfires, please resist the temptation to rub it in.
So say I told you so.
Please, by all means, I've seen one or two people.
Honestly, you are right.
Things backfired, they rubbed it in, and things went down badly subsequently. Because it's almost looking like people will now be waiting for you to make a mistake or commit a blunder. So please be very careful. The other thing I also want to say along the same thing is that I've also realized that when you sincerely, genuinely, especially based on data, empirical evidence, or historical records, realize that something will not work or something will backfire, and you have a conversation around it, please do me a personal favor. Send a polite mail to articulate your thoughts and your concerns and send it to the relevant stakeholders. And when you are sending it, you don't have to be absolute to say, I am telling you that if you do this, it's going to end badly. Please, you can say, oh, you are aware of this and you have reservations. This is the first reservation, second reservation, third reservation, and so on and so forth. Why I'm saying you should document this is that I've seen instances where HR flagged an issue, but it was verbal, and the management did not listen to HR, and then the thing backfired, and they blamed HR for it. And when HR was trying to remind them, they conveniently said no, either HR didn't communicate well, or HR didn't say what it is claiming to say, that is because the result has gone bad, that HR is now changing side. Sadly, in 2-3 of these instances, there was no documented conversation. So once you are sure of something, please. Now, there are 2 instances here. An instance is you know something will not work, and before you go and meet the MD or the CEO or the C-level person, you first send a mail, then you now go and talk. And I'll tell you, there's a difference between you send a mail, then you go and talk, versus you have spoken, you now go and send a mail. When you have engaged in a conversation and they tell you no, you now go and send a mail after. They will look at you like you are trying to set up a booby trap. You are trying to wash your hands. So this is what I do personally as a professional, because I understand the persona, the mindset, the orientation of the MD or the CEO. I know things they will likely agree or not agree. Once I know you will most likely not agree, when I come to you in conversation, I will first of all write you first. I cannot end the mail that I'll come and see you to discuss further. So that way, you are not going to say, Oluyemi, we spoke. Why are you still trying to send a mail? Are you speaking with Law Pavilion? Do you want to sue me or something? You get. So these are subtle nuances that we must continue to learn. And some of it comes with maturity, some of it comes with hard experience. But this does not have to be, especially bad experiences doesn't have to be your own. You can leverage on the experience of other people. I think this is where I'll just wrap my 2 cents to the beautiful presentation by our facilitator yet again.
Thank you so much, sir.
Any closing remarks?
Thank you so much for the contributions. Well, no closing remarks. I think we just have a role to play. It might not come easy, but we just have to find the balance in between. God helping us.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's unmute and let's appreciate. At least they've taught us communication. Let us communicate our gratitude.
SFS, you have adequately communicated.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Madam.
Thank you.